As of now, there is a very, very distinct lack of silver, which I've been telling you for some time. I put my money into gold 4 years ago. I've doubled it. A few months ago, we put a lot into silver. We've doubled it again. It's not rocket science. We've told you what to do. And I'll tell you right now, this has only just started. There's a lot more to come. So if you want to be wise, out of fiat currency into something stable, something solid.
The reports are coming in. Right now, as I am recording this on January 2nd, 2026, I'm receiving messages from industrial buyers, from procurement managers, from supply chain directors at electronics manufacturers across the United States, Europe, and Southeast Asia. And every single message says the same thing. The Chinese refiners we have worked with for years, the suppliers who have fulfilled our orders reliably for decades, the trading houses that processed our contracts without issue, they are all saying no. They are citing new export licensing requirements. They are referencing government policy changes. They are apologizing profusely, but they are refusing to export silver. The January 1st, 2026 Chinese silver export licensing system is not a bureaucratic formality. It is not a paperwork hurdle that can be navigated with the right connections or the right fees. It is an enforcement mechanism that went live at midnight Beijing time on January 1st. And in the last 36 hours, we are seeing the first wave of denial notices, customs rejections, and contract cancellations hitting Western buyers who thought they could continue sourcing refined silver from China the way they have for the past 20 years. This is not speculation. This is not me predicting what might happen. This is me reporting what is happening right now. The export ban is real. The enforcement is immediate, and the implications for the global silver market are catastrophic. Ladies and gentlemen, Asian guy here. For months, we have been warning you that China was preparing to lock up its silver refining capacity. We covered the November 28, 2024 announcement of the new export licensing system. We explained the 80-ton annual production minimum and the $30 million credit line requirements. We showed you how these thresholds would disqualify hundreds of small and mid-sized refiners and trading houses. We predicted that 400 million ounces of refined silver annually would be removed from global trade and trapped inside China's domestic market. But until January 1st, there was still a possibility that the policy would not be strictly enforced. There was hope that existing contracts would be grandfathered in. There was a belief that business relationships and diplomatic pressure would create workarounds. That possibility is now gone. The enforcement is total, the doors are closed, and Western industrial buyers who were counting on Chinese silver to fill their Q1 2026 production schedules are discovering that their supply chain just collapsed overnight. Let me show you the specific reports we are receiving. And these are not anonymous rumors. These are documented denials from name companies with email screenshots, customs rejection notices, and contract cancellation letters that prove the export ban is not theoretical anymore. It is operational reality. Report 1, a mid-sized electronics manufacturer in California that produces circuit boards for automotive suppliers. They have sourced refined silver from a trading house in Shenzhen for 8 years. Their typical quarterly order is 180,000 ounces. On December 27th, they submitted their Q1 2026 purchase order as usual. On January 2nd, they received an email from their Shenzhen supplier. The email states, due to new Chinese government export licensing requirements, effective January 1st, 2026, our company does not qualify for export licenses for refined silver. We are unable to fulfill your order. We apologize for the inconvenience and will refund your deposit. Please seek alternative suppliers. The California manufacturer immediately contacted 3 other Chinese trading houses they had worked with previously. All 3 sent nearly identical responses. None of them qualify for export licenses. None of them can ship silver out of China. The manufacturer is now scrambling to source 180,000 ounces from U.S. dealers and COMEX delivery. They have discovered that U.S. dealers are quoting 18 to 24-week delivery times with $32 to $45 premiums over spot. COMEX delivery slots for March are fully subscribed. They cannot get the metal. Report 2, a European solar panel manufacturer based in Germany. They operate production facilities across Europe and have been sourcing silver paste from a refinery in Guangdong province that specialized in high-purity solar-grade silver. Their annual contract was for 2.4 million ounces. On December 30th, they received a notice from the Guangdong refinery, stating that the refinery's export license application was denied by the Chinese Ministry of Commerce because the refinery's annual production capacity is only 62 tons, which is below the 80-ton minimum threshold. The contract is terminated effective immediately. No future shipments will be made. The German manufacturer has 6 months of inventory. After that, their production lines stop unless they find alternative suppliers. They contacted refiners in Australia, Canada, and Mexico. Every single one told them that 90% of their production is already allocated under multi-year contracts signed in 2022 through 2024. The available spot production from non-Chinese refiners globally is approximately 15 to 20 million ounces annually. The German manufacturer alone needs 2.4 million ounces. When you add up every other European manufacturer in the same position, the demand for non-Chinese refined silver exceeds available supply by 10 to 1. Report 3, a Japanese battery manufacturer that supplies cells to Toyota, Honda, and Nissan. They have sourced silver from a major Chinese state-owned refining company for 12 years. On January 1st, they received official notification that the state-owned refinery has been granted an export license under the new system because it meets the 80-ton capacity and $30 million credit requirements. However, the notification included a new clause. All export contracts are now subject to government approval on a shipment-by-shipment basis. Priority will be given to Chinese domestic manufacturers and strategic partners. Export allocations to foreign buyers will be determined based on diplomatic considerations and trade balance factors. Even if the refinery has a license, the Chinese government will decide whether any specific shipment to a Japanese buyer gets approved. The Japanese manufacturer submitted a request for approval to export 450,000 ounces in February. On January the 2nd, the request was denied with no explanation provided. The manufacturer has no recourse. They have no legal mechanism to force approval. They are entirely dependent on the discretion of Chinese bureaucrats who have every incentive to prioritize Chinese manufacturers over foreign competitors. These 3 reports are just the beginning. I have received 17 similar accounts in the last 36 hours from buyers across North America, Europe, and Asia. The pattern is identical. Chinese refiners are either disqualified completely because they do not meet the 80-ton and $30 million thresholds, or they are licensed. But government approval for specific exports is being denied or delayed indefinitely. The result is the same. Western buyers cannot get silver out of China. Now, let me explain why this is not just a temporary disruption, why this is not a bureaucratic delay that will be resolved in a few weeks, why this is a permanent structural shift in the global silver market that will force a complete repricing of the metal. China controls approximately 60% to 70% of global silver refining capacity. This is not mining. This is refining. Silver ore is mined in many countries: Mexico, Peru, Australia, the United States, Canada, Poland, Russia. But the majority of that ore, after it is extracted from the ground, gets shipped to China for refining, because that is where the smelters, the expertise, and the capacity exist. China built this refining dominance over 30 years by investing in infrastructure, training specialists, and operating at massive scale with lower costs than Western refiners could match. For decades, this system worked beautifully for everyone. Western manufacturers could source cheap refined silver from China. Chinese refiners made money processing ore. Miners had a reliable buyer for their concentrate. It was a globalized supply chain based on comparative advantage and free trade. That system just ended. By implementing export licenses with prohibitively high thresholds, China has effectively nationalized its refining output. The silver that used to flow freely from Chinese refiners to Western buyers is now locked inside China's domestic market. It goes to BYD, to KATL, to Chinese solar manufacturers, to Chinese electronics companies, to Chinese aerospace contractors. It fills strategic reserves. It supports China's industrial policy goals. It does not leave the country. The volume we are talking about is staggering. If China refines 60% to 70% of global silver, and global refining output is approximately 1 billion ounces annually when you include primary mining, byproduct recovery, and recycling, then China processes 600 to 700 million ounces per year. Not all of that is exported. Some stays in China for domestic use. But conservatively, 400 million ounces annually used to flow from Chinese refiners to Western buyers.
Noble Gold. Real assets, real value.